evening and welcome to Upfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. Tonight, that report that's suggesting that it's a done deal for the NDC in the next election. My guest will put that in perspective and we'll do a major probe of it on Upfront tonight. You're welcome back to Upfront. My name is Raymond Alqua, and I'm sure I did indicate early on that today's conversation is purely about one of the people who have told us who wins our elections. In 2016, they got it right. In 2020, they got it right too. So perhaps they are part of the people who will be predicting who wins our election. That's the Economic Intelligence Unit. They are out with the reports from April 13, which is suggesting the opposition National Democratic Congress will win the 2024 general elections. But it says also that the party needs to revitalize its leadership to increase its prospects. In this report, the EIU said the NDC has a higher prospect of winning the 2024 election. In fact, it says the next parliamentary and presidential elections are also due in 2024. Under constitutionally mandated term limits, the president is not going to be part of this election. The former president, John Mahama, is reportedly considering, that's part of the report though, running again. But we expect the opposition to try to revitalize its prospects with a fresh candidate. That has generated its own controversy with members of the party rejecting that. But on the side of the NPP, they've been rejecting entirely the things that are constituting the claim for this particular election to be going in the direction of the NPP, of the NDC. But there is a man who in his previous life has been doing the work that the EIU has been doing. He has gone to virtually every corner of this country, done research before to check really, and he's predicted right? Virtually any time he told us who was going to win the election, he said it. But now he is seated safely at the office of the president. He is director of research at that particular office. Dr. Isaac Mensah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope you are doing well today.
By the grace of God, it's a privilege to be here again.
It's been a long time.
I miss my university days.
Since you transitioned, we've not been very much out there engaging in this kind of conversations. What's been happening? Have they been cowering you and preventing you from being part of the engagements in this state?
Not at all. I've been very much busy on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But this Easter, somewhere we're at Kwahu. I was in Dambai. Karachi East, and then also I was in Karachi, Yeji, and then Pandai. So I'm on the field doing some work for.
So those who don't know what your job really is, I mean, something you need to explain to people. What do you do at the presidency as director of research?
I'm responsible for the research directorate of the presidency.
Okay.
That means that we collect a lot of data to inform policy, assess policy outcomes, assess the work that the government is doing. Well, you are a government, you are performing. You don't know the extent in which people are receiving your performance. Okay. So it's important for you to have feedback about what is going right and what is not going right. You
are different from the monitoring and evaluation unit.
Yes, that is a unit controlled by Mrs. Gifty Oyenekunadu.
Oh, okay. But, well, it's interesting. So what is your research telling you? Is the NPP winning or losing the election, as the EIU say?
As far as the presidential election is concerned, as we speak now, I would have been able to answer this question better in 2018 because we have the candidate at the time. Okay. Now, NPP has no candidate. We only have 4 runners. That's Dr. Baumia, Honorable Alan Chemante, Honorable Kutu, and the rest. So we are unable to know who is winning now. But in terms of the parliamentary, our data shows that NPP is far ahead of the NDC. There's
some other research suggesting that even the internal NPP engagement, Alan Chemate is likely to be ahead of Dr. Baumia. You've seen that, right?
Yes, I saw it this afternoon. To be honest with you, I could not interrogate that data. But as you speak, we will only be able to know who is winning when the constituency elections are over. When the constituency elections are over, then we're able to determine the right, because now only the polling station electoral area people are those qualified to vote. The current constituency executive are not qualified to vote until they are re-elected. So when they are re-elected, then we have the complete electoral college. Then we can now do a study to see who is winning and who is losing.
So we should disregard the poll suggesting that Alan Chamantin is really in the need.
Oh, I will not say we should disregard it because we don't know whom they talk to. Maybe they spoke to the recently elected polling station executive on the electoral area.
Of course, that's not a complete list.
Yes, that's not a complete list, even though they form the bulk. But normally, the constituency executive are able to whip the interest of the constituency in certain direction.
Is the EIU credible?
Oh, yes.
They are credible?
Yes, they are credible. It's important to mention that in the past, they've gotten it right.
Okay.
So I think I would say they are credible. But it's important to say that for research, it is within the context of the time.
Okay.
In this particular research, I will say that from our work that we have done, from 27th of March, the narrative of this country changed. 27th of March, when the president, through the fellow Ghanaians, relaxed the COVID rules. As soon as the COVID rules were relaxed on Sunday, on the Tuesday, the Ghana Blasters won. And the entire atmosphere of the country changed. So before then, the country and the economy wasn't going well at all. But as soon as that narrative changed, a lot of hope is in the air now.
Is this backed by data you have collected, or it is your feeling about what's happening?
Not feeling. As I told you that whilst you were in Kwahu and the rest, we were on the field collecting data. We have not done a lot of quantitative work, but qualitatively, you speak to people through focus group at the chop bar, at the beer bar, trotro station and all that. And let me say this. Yesterday, when I was at Makango, somebody bought Wachi. And then said, Wachi with the Eswapa, hey, Putin would in Sembaba Ghana. Literally meaning that this Wachi is so small. Mr. President Putin, you are introducing challenges into this country.
The Russian president.
Yeah, the Russian president. So it means that the issues about the international system is not only felt in Accra, it's the entire country that is feeling.
But the Russian embassy in Ghana has dismissed that they are not responsible for our current price hikes. They believe that we were already in a very serious situation before this happened. In fact, to them, 2 years before this, prices were galloping already.
Okay. They are diplomatic missions, so we don't want to. But the truth is that before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, what was the price of fuel? It was 71. And then as soon as it happened, it went to 121.
Okay.
So will you say, is it the cause or is not the cause? I would not want to engage in diplomatic battle. I'm at the presidency, so I'm very careful about that. If I were to be in the university, I would have done a different job.
Okay, that's an interesting development.
Yes.
Now, there is also another very outstanding one. So if the government fails, it's because you have failed. Is it true? If
this government, there are a number of factors that come into failure of a government. It's not just the research department. There are a number of factors, several factors.
You are just broadening the scope for it.
Yes.
But it will certainly include your failure to do proper research for government.
Oh, yes. I do accept, and I want to do my possible best to ensure that the government does not fail.
But you've heard it, right? Sometimes people think that the presidency at the top doesn't have ears on the ground.
Maybe in the past, but not today.
Really?
Yes, because we are really on the ground. We are really on the ground listening to what the people are saying. Sometimes I take trotro.
Oh, I see.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, we are not wearing the masks now. So I use the masks and I enter trotro and sometimes I wear a hat and I listen to conversation that people have. So we are on the ground. We know what is going on. The difficulty is that sometimes you are unable to meet all the needs of the people.
Okay.
That is a fact because of the lack of resources.
Now, we sure should get this because you came along with the presentation.
Yes, very short one.
You still brought a classroom to us today to tell us what you think is really happening.
Yes.
We'll spend some time on the EIU because it's important that, because they highlighted some things. Unemployment, for example. They also talked about, economic situation, all of that. You're not an economist. We will not delve into that. But the reasons they gave, I'll be asking you whether you think that is enough to let the government lose election in this, and whether this government can break the 8. That question you should answer it before we leave. What is your data so far collected suggesting that whether the government currently can break the 8? That question is important. Would you be able to answer?
I'll answer it.
You think?
I'll answer it. Or you want to answer it right away?
Yes, you can try.
I would say this. The government can break the 8.
Really?
With a slim margin.
Not because you are in government.
Not because I'm in government.
It's never happened before.
It's never happened before.
It's a cycle that we've had.
Yes, but it can happen. You have to look at the conditions.
So you need to convince me beyond merely saying it that this can happen.
Yes, I will do that. When you ask that question, I'll do that. I'll give you the reasons why this government can break the 8. So,
one, I want you to go to your presentation just in a second. But first, this is important, the basics of it. The EIU suggestion that the NDC will win 2024, do you agree or disagree with it?
It was not conclusive. I've read this several times. Everything is conditional.
Yes.
And one of the things that even contradict their own statement is that whoever wins the elections in the 2024 will continue. It means that if they are very sure the NDC will win, they will say that the new government will have continued, but they don't use the term.
Is that not just language?
No, it's not language. And also gave conditions. As I said, the entire report that the political session is all conditional. NDC will win on condition that they have a fresh candidate. But I can tell you that...
Is that what's really the reported? I don't get the impression from
if they have
report.
a fresh candidate...
In fact, they say that their chance will be brightened, rather. It doesn't mean you not win.
No.
Having a brighter chance doesn't mean that it will be the basis for your winning, isn't it also?
You check...
Okay, you want me to read exactly what it says here?
Here?
Okay, so just the point it says here. Now, the next parliamentary, the former President John Mahama is reportedly considering running again.
Yes.
But we expect the opposition NDC to try to revitalize its prospects with a fresh candidate. Try and revitalize.
With a fresh candidate.
It's their expectation that they will try and revitalize.
They should try or they will.
They will expect the opposition NDC to try
and revitalize.
To revitalize its prospects with a fresh candidate.
Yes. So it means that, let me also say, you know, apart from President Lawrence, no NDC candidate has crossed 51%. Apart from President Lawrence. President John Dramani Mahama did well. They got 50.7. President Mills got 50.2 in the runoff, 50.2. It means that, and as the data will show us, it is very difficult to win the election on the part of the NDC if MPPs should put their act together.
But none of this has been in the second round.
Which of them are you talking about?
I'm talking about NPP going to a second round.
Yes.
We know that in 2008, there was a second round.
And they lost.
Yes. Yes. So I'm saying that the NPP has no history of winning beyond the second round. No,
NPP have gone for second round only once.
No, I'm talking about, I mean, having to finish an 8-year term.
Oh, yes, no. They
have no history.
No, they have no history.
So this is fresh terrain.
This is fresh terrain, to be fair. This is fresh terrain. But this 2024 election is going to come with also its own new dynamics. One, this is the first time a president is contesting for the second time. The 2020, they contested for the first time. Now, the president contested the second time against a fresh candidate from the incumbent government. So they're going to new dynamics all together. Everything is going to be new.
Not the first time a vice president is contesting for the what they call it.
If it's a vice president, then they should change the narrative completely.
Exactly what's in your presentation. Let people get a glimpse into it so that we can interrogate it.
I want to let people understand what we call the drivers of the presidential votes.
Drivers of presidential votes.
Yes, it's very important because we have to know. It's not enough to say that unemployment. It's not enough to say this. It's not enough to say that. But we have to know what are the drivers of presidential votes.
So this is in a very important scope. The context being that the EIU report says our baseline forecast is that ongoing public dissatisfaction with the slow pace of improvements in governance. That's the first one.
Yes.
Such as infrastructure development.
Yes.
Infrastructure development. 2, job creation.
Yes.
And 3, easing of corruption.
Yes.
These are the 3 issues.
Will
trigger anti-incumbency factors and push the electorate to seek a change. Are you disputing these ones?
Oh, I'm not disputing them because these are very important elements.
Are these drivers of a presidential election?
They are, because in 2016 and 2020, some people's votes were determined on the basis of corruption. So this is very important.
It's also part of it.
Some people's votes were on the basis of unemployment. It's also here. So these are very important. And also infrastructure. Some people voted on the basis of infrastructure. So these drivers are very important drivers. And I don't dispute it. And there's another driver called internal bleeding. I'll let people know.
Certainly we will go into that. But we'll take a break here. After this break, the man who is the Director of Research at the Office of the President will take us through the reasons and the factors to him or to his research work that will determine the next election. After this break, don't go away. You're welcome back. This is UpFront. My guest is that man who is heading the research department in the Office of the President. Dr. Isaac Mensah is telling us why perhaps what the EIU is saying may not be as factual as you expect it to be. But he has a presentation of his own. So, Doc, you can start by, you say you are telling us the drivers of the presidential election.
Yes, and there are few of them that I want to mention. One of them is the party.
Okay.
Now, the party here, on the basis of their performance in the past, on the basis of the voter register, what does the voter register tells us? We have the...
Yeah, when you click on that, it will work.
Good.
Okay.
Now, the voter register, we have Western, Eastern, Ashanti, Ahafo, Bono, and Bono East. These are MPP strongholds, and they control 41.7% of the current voter population.
Okay.
NDC controls Bono East, Western North, Savannah, Northern, Upper East, Upper West, Oti, voter, and this constitutes 28% of the voter population.
Okay.
Now, we have two swing regions, Greater Accra and Central Region. And even with the Greater Accra and Central Region, which controls 29.9%, almost 30% of the voter population, each of these parties also have their strong base. Okay. Kwabenya, the Ablikumas, the Okakwis, and all this. So when you put this together, it gives a sense of what is going to drive the election, the presidential election, if the parties are able to galvanize their supporters to come and vote on that particular election day.
Yeah. So what next are you going to?
Now, I want to confirm
to 2020
yes.
Comparative analysis.
So I want
these two. Yes.
I want to confirm for all of us to see how this happens. Even what I was saying, to whether it is true or it's not true. Look at in 2016, MPP won Ahafo. They won Ashanti, they won Bono, they won Eastern, and the data shows that clearly 2016 and 2020. So this confirms that what I was saying is true. These are the election results.
That these are strongholds.
These are strongholds, and these are the whoever will perform better in the central region and greater region, especially the swing area like Lojokuku, Krowo, Kole Klote, Medina, Adenta, that party had a chance of winning the elections.
Okay. Now, what else are you trying to take us to beyond this particular one?
Beyond the register.
Is it the list of the drivers? Are you now talking
beyond
about
the register itself?
Okay.
One very important driver of the presidential votes is the parliamentary candidates.
Okay.
We have the MPP presidential candidate and NDC presidential candidates. So I don't want to go into details about what the party won and the presidential parliamentary candidate did not win. But I want to look at the constituencies that the NPP won the parliamentary candidates, but lost the presidential candidates. And the constituencies that NDC parliamentary won and their presidential candidate lost. And on the basis of that, you notice that the MPP parliamentary candidates are more drivers of the presidential votes than the NDC parliamentary candidates.
So what you're saying is that the NPP parliamentary candidates gets the presidential candidates' votes.
Yes,
more than the NDC
presidential candidates.
And this is for a period. Which period have you done this?
We have looked at 2016 and 2020.
2020.
Just to have just two elections. Just to have an idea. Just to have an idea about how the because we are looking at drivers of the presidential elections.
Okay.
I want to emphasize that drivers of presidential elections are not only based on employment, corruption, infrastructure. If people are voting for a particular parliamentary candidate, it also translates into the presidential candidate as well, the presidential results as well.
Okay, I get your point.
Yes. Now, another...
No, you mentioned... So what's this thing about, apart from President Rawlings, no NDC candidate has had 51%?
Yes. And this is also confirming what the voter register indicates. Now, if you look at
we are saying that when NPP is winning, they win with a bigger margin.
Bigger margin, and therefore have a better chance of crossing the 50% mark as compared to the NDC.
Okay.
So, I was saying that...
But does it matter that going into the next election, none of these candidates on the NPP side have been president before?
Does it matter that...
Does it matter that there's no incumbent on the NPP side going to the next election?
Oh, there is some incumbency.
Yeah, as the party being...
Yeah, as a party, but not as a candidate.
Yeah.
But the question was, what does the candidate bring on board? Because the candidate also, personally, people may vote for you for many other factors. That, as a person, people may vote for you. You have done this, you have done that, you have done this, you have done that, you have done that. So that's also very important. Okay,
I get your point. So now, you also mentioned here in this your slide that MPP president in 2000 obtained 56.9%. Actually, making the point that apart from President Rawlings, no other NDC candidate has gotten beyond 51%.
And that also means that MPP has a stronger base as compared to the NDC.
Really?
Yes. That's why when they are winning, they win heavily.
Okay.
So they have a better chance of itching into the 50% mark more than the NDC.
Okay. So now you are giving us these ones. Which other ones should we expect next?
The next issue I wanted to go to.
This.
Yes, I've talked about the. This is the real data that shows how the MP parliamentary candidates, the NDC parliamentary candidates, each of them, how they drive their presidential votes. And this, you cannot take it away from the totality of the presidential vote.
Is there a reason why you selected 12?
No, MPP has only 12 parliamentary MPs who won, and their presidential candidate did not win those constituencies. Okay. And NDC has 18 of them. So where they have the parliamentary MP, like Wenchi, Ayensuano, Jama South, and other places. But these are the areas that the MPP has a member of parliament, but they lost the presidential elections.
Okay, now I get you. So what are we looking at? Which driver are we looking at next?
So this is the next. Let me just cruise. Okay.
I think this is it, yeah.
Next one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the MPP one.
Okay, yeah. So you can move into the next one, this one, yeah.
Yes.
Is it what you want?
I wanted to come to the earlier one, so I will also see the NDC, but this is just all about the parliamentary, a member of parliament, how they drive their votes. Okay. Now let's look at the incumbency, anti-incumbency drivers.
The things that will go against government.
Yes, that goes against, that goes against the government.
But I've seen you list the things that the EIU mentioned here.
Yes. This not only EIU, these are standard anti-incumbency drivers. Okay. And I even added my own. We have unemployment. It really is an anti-incumbency driver. Yeah. You remember in the...
It's 19, it's a high percentage now.
Yes. In 2016, MPP manifesto was what? Agenda for jobs. That tells you how employment is very, very important as far as anti-incumbency driver is concerned. Corruption is one. Slow pace in the increasing the governance process. Here, what they are explaining is that in the extent in which people feel their needs are met. So when we talk about governance process, what are things that government is doing to ensure that their needs are met? And now I've also added one which they didn't have, what we call internal bleeding of incumbency government. Incumbent government. That is it the quest to lead the party, the people who are, or it is several of them. Just complaints? We have the internal party struggle, party government struggle at the local level. I'm sure remember that we have some district chief executive in the last government, and also 2016 that were not doing their work well, and therefore it cost the government in 2016, cost the government in 2020 as well. I see. So that's inter-party, government-party relation. And the government appointees struggles, where the appointees of the government, instead of doing right things to help the party and do what they would rather do other things. And the lack of shared vision. Lack of shared vision, most incumbents around the world also suffer this, because some people in that government think that they have no interest in the next government. Oh, I see. Yes, yeah, it happens. It's by age, by their association, their godfatherism, or whatever it is, they think they have no interest in the government. So instead of everybody coming on board, they will not come on board. And the last one, improvement in the economic outlook. When people think that the incumbent government is not able to provide enough economic framework by which things will be better for them, they try to look for a change. And these are what I'll call the challenges of incumbent government. And these drivers are true. But some of them are real today. I cannot skip out any of these which is not currently happening. Yeah, so for incumbent government to overcome anti-incumbency drivers, they will have to work on this. So for the MPP to break the 8, yes, they have to work on these things. These are very important things that the MPP have to do. Is it a tall order? I don't think it's a tall order. Now let's look at the unemployment. Yes. The government is coming out with the UStart. And UStart, where they are bringing a lot of they are bringing a lot of youth who are unemployed to get opportunity. Youth Employment Agency and others are also coming out with youth volunteerism. And even though NAPCO has some issues here and there, so unemployment issue is being looked out for. And of course, slowing down the process of governance. The economic issues are very difficult now, so government is trying as much as possible to ensure that everybody have the opportunity to have a share of the government. We'll come to this point about the EIU report, but some of the things that you picked out there, I mean, you have just mentioned some of the isolated things government is doing to fill the gap, but unemployment is such a big issue. Is this government expected to fix it entirely or show signs that it is working on it for it to win the next election? The government is working on it, not necessarily to win the next election. Okay. But to be honest with you, if any government in Africa says that they can completely eliminate unemployment, it's not possible. You have to demonstrate your commitment in providing job opportunities, providing enabling environment. So that's why, as we speak now, we have 108, one district, one factory. That is operating now, these factories are supposed to provide environment whereby people will get employment, whether 10, 20.
But are they doing so? You do research across the country. Are the people really convinced that the things they are doing would really have been making an impact?
They can do better, but the impact is there, but it's minimal. And I think that if the companies, when they get their ass right, they can expand and improve the employment opportunities that they have with their communities that they work.
Now, this is also perhaps because you mentioned unemployment. The issue to do with infrastructure development.
Yes.
The Vice President recently was listed a lot of the things the government has done in varied areas, saying that this is what we use the money for. There's still a massive, massive problem on the ground with people seeing some of the results that we are talking about. When you head research, when you go to speak to them, are the people really convinced that there's a government is bridging the gap when it comes to infrastructure development? Yeah.
As I told you, I was in Kete-Krachi, and Kete-Krachi's zip line is the leading zip line in the world. The one in Kete-Krachi in terms of delivery.
As if for the supply of drugs.
Yes.
Through drones.
Through drones.
Yeah.
And people are able to see the value of zip line, the value of infrastructure. But certainly infrastructure.
But in all fairness, I mean, drones delivery of what they call medicine has very little to do with how people see whether roads are being built and all of that.
You see, there's no direct correlation, I must say, for road networks and translating into votes. Why do I say so?
Really?
Yes, direct correlation, there's no. Let me give you an example. If you go to Narebu Gangaba, they have one of the best roads. If you go to Pandai, they have one of the best roads that is passing through the town. If you go to Wellency, government lost all DDCs. Beyond the number of factors also playing. But so the point is that constructing the road alone is not enough. But not constructing the road can also cost to the elections at the end of the day. I hope the point is clear.
Yeah, I get your point.
The point is that if you construct the road, it will not automatically translate into vote. But if you don't construct the road, they will punish you for not constructing the road.
Of course, it's not a single issue about the roads that may necessarily get you the votes, but other factors will come into.
Sure.
But you mentioned that roads do not necessarily translate into votes.
Yes, they don't directly translate into vote. If they directly translate into vote, there are a number of constituencies that MPP have done so well in terms of road infrastructure and they lost the seats. Not that they were NDC they were going to fight for, they were their seats that they lost.
Okay.
Yes, but they have the best roads.
But is it also possible, the other side of the argument being that the road was there as a contributory factor, but it didn't really make the biggest impact because there are other bigger factors? Is it possible?
Oh, it is possible. That is a number of factors come
to play.
And I listed part of the incumbency factors.
Yeah.
Party struggle. Internal party struggle for the parliamentary candidature is one thing that can cost a government. Because somebody is not happy with the one we have chosen as a candidate. Okay, then I'm going as independent or may not go as independent. Call his people, don't vote for this. If I am not going, they will not also go. That can also cost you. And as I said, there's direct relation between the presidential election votes and the parliamentary election votes. So you have a problem with your internal primaries and it costs you the presidential vote as well. Oh,
I see. That's interesting.
Yes.
But how come then the NPP won the election in 2020?
They won, as I've indicated, the NPP, the presidential candidate, won 145 constituencies. And also depend on the size of the constituency and the turnout in that constituency.
That's true.
All these factors come into because there can be 3 constituencies that can take care in the Ashanti region that can take care of maybe one region. So all number of factors.
I get you. So how come the MPP lost so many seats in the parliamentary in 2020?
It is clear, and this information, I don't know whether one of your gentlemen interviewed me when we did the MPs election, and we told them in 2019 that they were going to lose this number of seats. Let me be honest to say that I've not been Abu Jinapo, Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Ameu, and Tampuri, these and MP for Karaga Anta. These gentlemen did whatever they could in order for them to win their seats. If they have not done that, MPP would have been in minority.
Okay. So
so the data in 2019 did not change in 2020 election because the conditions in which we indicated were not, if you want, met by the MPP at the time. So if they had met those conditions, things would have changed. Since they didn't meet those conditions, that will brought us to where we find ourselves. And some of them, some of the members of parliament in the last government became too big. quote unquote, in the local parliament. It became too big, not approachable. All the factors that propelled them to win the 2016 election, all too soon, they had forgotten.
Now, can we now deal with the EIU report?
Yes, please.
What's your problem with it?
Oh, I personally, as a researcher, don't have a problem with the report as it is.
Certainly, I understand you. Yes, no.
Report is done within a context.
That's
and
true.
the truth is, as I indicated to you, that in early to March, the narrative after 27th of March have changed.
Okay.
With the easing of the restriction and also the winning of the World Cup slot and other factors, the economy the country have different
really
now. As I say, I don't sit in Accra here. I'm here, I am there, and I talk to people here and there, and they tell us that.
But prices of goods are still skyrocketing.
That is very true.
People are not feeling easy at all.
I'm not saying people are feeling very easy. I say the narrative has changed.
As in the narrative of we will reject this government has changed to we will support this government. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily that. The narrative of the extent of hardship.
Okay.
Yes, and the possibility of hope. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. But the price
are more hopeful now.
From 27th of March up to now, there's more hope now than before to 27th of March.
Is that good or bad?
It's good to have hope.
Would that negate this finding by the EIU report?
I'm sure that if EIU should do their work now, they will notice that, of course, the physicals and all this, and I'm not an economist, I cannot go into that. Yeah. But they will notice that there's a little hope now as compared to the time that they said it was that. Right. Fortunately, EIU will do another one far before the elections.
Okay, interesting. So now let's get to this report.
So I was saying that the report, there's no methodology.
The EIU report?
Yes, I didn't see any methodology. I've gone to several times. And somebody who have been teaching research over the years, a report has come with methodology. Okay. And I will give them the benefit of that they did the best methodology that they were supposed to use. And of course, as I indicate also, all the statements about the podcast session, they are conditional. If this happened, this happened. This happened, this happened, this just happened. And of course, as I indicate...
So you're saying that the statements that suggest that the NDC has a brighter chance of winning the election is conditional?
It's conditional.
How is that important?
No, it is important because as a researcher, I also collect data and analyze the data and come out with the findings. And when the findings are out, I will indicate that on this basis, on that basis, you are able to do this, you are able to do this. But if you are unable to do that, it will lead you into this. Because, you see, human beings are human beings, we change our minds. So people may decide, today, I'm very angry with MPP, tomorrow they have different reasons. Today, I'm very angry with NDC, tomorrow they have different reasons. So that's why the conditionalities are in there. And I also do that.
Okay, all right. So there's nothing really wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that at all. When you do a research, you must set up some conditions that if you do this, you do this, holding this factor constant, all that. That's very important.
You found it important to point out that it's not a declarative statement that NDC will win. Why is that important to you?
Yes, I said so because when you look at what the data says, it's not done deal for the NDC. What the data says is not done deal for them. Because as I've given you the original, NPP control 41% of the registered voter population as their stronghold.
As of the last election.
Yeah, as of the last.
Things may change going forward.
Register. But you see, one is very important thing is that the demographics may not change so much because we have a 2024 election just ahead of us. We would expect that there will be significant demographic changes as far as the presidential elections. And don't forget that even there are demographic changes, Ghana is one constituency when it comes to the presidential elections. So whether I'm voting in Techima Arowa or I'm voting in Pristia Honi Valley, is the same vote that I'll...
Right. So we are pointing out beyond the conditional statements, there's another point you make there about the NDC can win with their fresh candidate.
Yeah, that is the EIU report. Yeah, but you see, that is what we have to interrogate because from the data we have, President Mahama will be the NDC candidate.
Will be?
You will be the NDC candidate. The data we have, because we also speak to people whom do you think should be the NDC presidential candidate. We speak to people who are NDC and people who are not NDC. And for that we have, President John Dramani will be the NDC candidate. So on that basis, you see, the issue is that... So
a fresh candidate is not even contemplated?
At all. That's what I'm saying. There are others who may be showing interest, but I will be very surprised if they can beat President John Dramani.
So you don't think that the NDC's chances will be brightened or revitalized with a fresh candidate?
Then we'll have to look at the data.
Okay.
But you see, one of the very important thing is that, and I suspect that is why they put as when you have a new candidate, that candidate has never been the president before. But if you have His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the president, the sins of the past government will follow him.
Really?
The sins of the past government will follow him because he's been the president before. If you talk about it, they will say, okay, the question is, you were president, what did you do about it? You were president, what did you do about it? You were president, what did you do about it? Did you show any commitment? Did you try to solve it? So the sense of the, and that is normal.
Okay.
That is normal. In the same way as the 2020 elections, some of the problems or the sense of the last government follow the president, including Galamsey.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. So now you're talking about the next point that they make in there. The NDC statement, whosoever wins in 24, you mentioned the point about whosoever. The last point you made about the issues you have with the EIU report.
Yes. All the issues I have with EIU, as I indicated, I think it's gone.
Okay, no. You can move on to the key issues now.
Okay, the key issues are on the basis of what I have demonstrated. One, NPP has a stronger advantage into the 2024 election than the NDC.
Really?
Yes.
But you are just comparing registered voters to what's likely. What they did in the EIU report is to say that the economy will be an issue.
Of course, it will be an issue.
Those are real issues.
These are real issues.
The infrastructure development is going to be an issue.
Yes.
Corruption is going to be an issue.
Yes. But when we talk about infrastructure development, MPP is in government now. They have up to 2024 to continue with the infrastructure development. When it comes to infrastructure development, now the statistics show that MPP 5 years is more than NDC 8 years.
Really?
Look at the road network. Look at the hospitals. Look at the schools. You look at the entire infrastructure in this country.
But you see, you do research. Have you found independent data to back it? Not just what other government officials are saying. When you go around the country,
yes.
Is it the things they tell us that has been done? Is it really on the ground?
Oh yes, I don't.
Beyond you being director of research.
Before I became director of research, yes. I was always going around the country and I see new roads coming up. And if you see new roads coming up, you don't need to be the director of research to say there's a new road here.
Yeah.
If you go to Dome Kwabenya now, as we speak, you see the level of road network that is coming up in Dome Kwabenya. Not only Dome Kwabenya, Medina, Adjringano, different parts of this country, you see road network. You see school infrastructure that is being built. You don't need to be told. New schools are being built as well. So when it comes to infrastructure, compare NPP and NDC. It's not about statistical service or Bank of Ghana telling us. What the Bank of Ghana can tell us that I cannot verify is the interest rate and this and this. That one, I'm a political scientist, I can't remember. But when it comes to real infrastructure development, the two is clear.
It's interesting. So why do you think the EIU pinpointed that as one of the reasons this government will lose an election? Oh,
don't forget that in 2016, infrastructure was a big election determinant.
That's true.
Employment was a big election determinant.
That's
in
true.
Our election, it has been a big election.
They are consistent factors.
That's what I'm indicating by saying that in 2016, NPP manifesto, the heading was Agenda for Jobs.
Okay.
So knowing the importance of employment, they touched the manifesto Agenda for Job.
Okay.
So that means very important.
I get that particular point. So you say that the NPP rather has an advantage of winning the election over the NDC?
Yes. On the basis of what I see around the country, on the basis of people you talk to, and basis of, but as I said, it's also conditional. What is the condition? They must be able to get over this incumbency, anti-incumbency drivers. It's very important. One, internal party struggle is very important. Government party relations at the district level is very, very important. And also opulent life is very important to the people on the ground. So if you're in government and your appointees are displaying, and they go to funerals and somebody want to give a donation that is bigger than what everybody will give, all these things will not help you as a government to win any election. So if they're able to follow these issues, then they have a bigger advantage. As
we are barely left with 2 years to go.
Yes.
Is it too late for the MPP to turn things around and deal with the incumbency triggers?
Anti-incumbency drivers?
Yes.
Oh, it's not.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
All right.
They have up to 2024, beginning of 2024. That's when the decision will be made.
Okay. Now, the point you are making here, and the next one is that MPP is the ruling party and can improve the base. We already have seen a lot of squabbles at the various ends prior to the election, during the police station ones. In fact, the one that's coming up next is also going to have its own set of issues. At the top, there's going to be a bigger contest of presidential candidates. That's also going to drive a massive wedge in the party. How big is that an issue going into the next election?
It's a very big issue, but the important thing for the MPP is that they have learned their lesson.
Really?
From the 17 presidential candidates up to now, they have learned their lesson.
But we are not sure that the number is completed because now we have like 5 or so people already showing
it. It may go up to 10.
It may go up 10.
Yes, different people are still emerging. They are still, we call it in Ghana contest.
They are testing the waters. Okay.
Yeah, so different people. But don't forget, that is the MPP ruling government. And ruling government, you should expect that. But NDC is also yet to start their own internal elections as well. And to be honest,
but I just told that John Dramani Mahama is
I'm not talking about yes, he's the one people prefer. It's a fact, emphatic fact. But when it comes to also the internal elections, and this is also yet to start their own, the ward, the constituency, and all that. And to be honest and be fair, all political parties around the world conducting internal elections have their own problems. It's not only in Ghana. So when people complain, it's not only in Ghana, it's part and parcel of the challenges of democratization. So it's not, yeah.
This point you make about increasing urbanization and which favors the MPP according to population census, Ghana is becoming more urbanized.
Yes.
Yeah, but we are becoming more urbanized as of even the last one, the 2010 one.
Oh, yes, that's increasing urbanization, increasing educational levels of people, people able to analyze issues and making decisions for themselves.
How does that favor the MPP?
One, it favors and also helps the MPP because when you are urbanized, you are well educated, you are able to understand and analyze the issues. You don't listen to your parents anymore. Mm-hmm. So your choice is dependent on your own analysis of the issues on the ground. And the point is that those areas that are mentioned to you that are MPP stronghold, most of them are urbanized areas, urban areas, apart from maybe west, northeast. That is not so urbanized. But if you come to Bono, as compared to Bono East, Bono is more urbanized than Bono East.
Okay,
Ahafo is also urbanized. Ashanti, Eastern, Western. Western is more urbanized than Western North. Okay. So yeah, so if you look at the dynamic, it happens that way.
So you can conclude the MPP wins in urban areas?
Well, MPP wins in urban areas, not all the time, but the MPP have a better advantage in urban areas as compared to the rural areas.
Now, there are some very general things that ought to be cleared in this particular conversation. EIU says the NDC has a better prospect of winning the next election. You're actually saying that the MPP rather has a better prospect of winning the next election.
Yes.
Who should we take as saying the gospel truth?
Now, we are here 2022. Yeah. I'm sure by God's grace we will all be here 2024.
Yes.
Given the factors and the issues that I have raised, I'm sure by 2023 ending, it will be clear enough to me and to EIU who is going to win the next election. But as we speak now, and the issues around us now, I can tell you that NPP will win the next election. Let me give an example. If you go to Ahafo, they are able to show, look, we have about 5,000 of the voter population in this town who did not vote because of A, B, C, D reasons. So if NPP is able to galvanize all this type of stuff, if you go to Domi-Kwabinya, the most important constituency to the NPP, the biggest constituency in Ghana, a lot of the PM did not go out.
Domi-Kwabinya is biggest now?
Yes, Domi-Kwabinya is the biggest constituency.
And you say most important?
To the MPP. No, not to the most important to the MPP, but very important to the NPP. Kwabri East is among the most important. One is the most important in podcast and economy. They win the highest percentage of votes.
Okay, yes. But is that not interesting? We know what's happening in Domi-Kwabinya, right? Is it likely to hurt or improve the MPP's chances?
It depends on how it is resolved into the 2024 election. It depends on how it's resolved. Don't forget that Honorable Adjoa Safo belongs to a very important church as far as that constituency.
Her father's church.
Yes, her father's church. So that makes it very important. So it depends on how.
Is that why the party has not stuck there yet?
I am not a party leader, so I will not be able to answer that question. I don't attend NEC meetings, so I will not be able to answer that question. But as a researcher,
what did they say at the presidency? Is that why she has not been removed from the position as minister?
Oh, that decision is made by the president alone.
Really?
Yes.
Not even director of research.
No. Who becomes the president? Who becomes a minister is made by the president.
What are the people in Domi-Kwabinya saying about her seat? What you have ears on the ground? Yes. What are they saying? They are not about the current situation.
They are not happy with what is going on. Yes. They are not happy not because of Adjoa Safo, but Honorable Adjoa Safo. They are not happy because they think that their name is in the news too much.
Oh, I see.
And it hurts them. That why should our name be in the news? Everybody is talking about our MP. Everybody discussion about MP or MP. So that is one thing that hurts them. Yes. So as I said, it depends on how.
Would they want Adjoa Safo to run again?
As you speak, and as the data we collected at the time, when you ask them the question.
Okay, now, yes, Doc, you want to sit down, yes. But finally, there are a set of questions I'm asking because you are concluding this conversation.
Yes, please.
Yeah, there are another question about Parliament. Is it going to change going to the next election?
Emphatically.
Parliament?
Yes, Parliament is going to change. Our data shows that now, April 2022, if elections held today, MPP get 145 seats. Now, if the elections held today.
Your data only favors the MPP.
Oh, not all the time. I've been here several times to...
No, I get you, but I mean, now I'm looking at you as Director of Research.
Yes.
I'm not looking at you as a political scientist.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at you as are you saying that the data is collected independent of regardless of which political party you belong to?
Yes.
Or which government you work for now?
Yes, I can give it.
So this is sacrosanct data.
You see, I'm telling you this sacrosanct because I'm a political scientist and I will not, you have viewers around the world watching me. I'm not a politician. Or even though I sit at the seat of power now, but I'm not a politician. I tell you the truth. And as I said, there are some seats that MPP lost due to internal bickering that they have been able to resolve. Some seats they lost, the internal bickering is deepening, and they are not going to win them again. Okay. There are some seats that they lost that they have been traditional seats, not only internal bickering, but the demographics have changed that they cannot win. And there are some seats that they can easily win, and some seats that the NDC is having now, they will take away from there. And some seats MPP have, NDC is going to take away in the next election.
So you say in this month of April, if elections are held,
yes,
the election will go in the direction of the parliamentary seat. Say
yes,
145
for the MPP today.
If there's a by-election in Asin, is it Asin North
Asin
today?
North.
Who will win?
Asin North issue is a complex one. It's a complex one because Breku is a very important part of the constituency where the member of parliament comes from.
Okay.
They see him as their son, and that area the president won, but they still voted for their son.
Okay.
So it depends on who will be the candidate of the MPP, depends on who will be the candidate of the NDC, and depends on other factors that surround it. That will tell us who is going to win the next election in Asin North.
Now, there are a few more questions on what's going to happen from now to the next election.
Yes,
now, basically, is it true between Alan Chemantin and Dr. Bawumia, there's a research already out there suggesting that Alan Chemantin is more likely to be the MPP's candidate? Do you have data on the ground to back or dismiss this claim?
Let me be honest with you. We have collected data, series of data, since I took over this office. And the data that we have suggests that Dr. Bawumia is ahead. However, this data was collected before the polling station elections were held, before the constituency elections are going to be held. So it's based on the past.
Okay.
So now, if after the constituency elections is held and we do another survey, we're able to know who is ahead. But in the past, Dr. Bawumia was ahead.
Now, my last question. Is the president told the truth about the data he collects on the ground? When people are angry with him, is he aware?
Fortunately, I can tell you here, and for viewers, I have direct access to the president. When I collect do my report, I sit down with him. Your Excellency, this, that. So nobody tempers with the data that I have. I tell the president the truth for you to make his decisions.
Doc, we should do this discussion next time again and consistently. But thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Folks, that's where we end today's edition of Upfront. Many thanks to you for joining our conversation.